So I'm here. I've been interviewing different business owners and entrepreneurs that I know for my upcoming book that I'm looking forward to writing on how to teach your child to be successful. And I'm getting tips and ideas from some of the successful people I already know. And when I made my list, this guy was at one of the top ones, and I'm really looking forward to doing this interview. I'm here with Jeff Myers. He's the owner of Nuff Promotions. They're the largest amateur MMA promotion here in the United States and the second longest running MMA promotion in the United States, only second to UFC. I've known Jeff for a long time. He's a great guy, and I'm really looking forward to hearing his answers. And again, Jeff, thank you very much for taking the time to do this interview.
Of course, Wade. Thanks for coming. It's always nice to see you.
Thank you. So the first question I have is, what do you think the most important skill kids should learn in school today for the future?
A good question. I mean, I really think that time management is a skill that I wish I'd learned more in school. When I was in school, it wasn't being taught. Maybe it is being a little bit more today, but I really think that both in my personal life and in my business or professional life, time management is the one thing that I really struggle with. Mm-hmm. And I think that that's something that could really be taught more in schools.
Yes, sir. What skill do you use the most from your education in school?
Well, I admit that I'm a huge geek, okay? So everything like electronic or technology, I love it. So when I was back in school in elementary and middle school, computers really were fascinating to me. Mm-hmm. And the classes back then and computers way back in the ancient days were very, very basic computing, but I was fascinated with it. Mm-hmm. And I'm lucky, I think, that I took onto it, because I find that today I use technology so much to stay organized. I'm also, admittedly, in addition to being a geek, I'm not that organized. So I find that technology, for example, like Google spreadsheets, they call that Google Sheets, the word processor, the spreadsheets, all the different tools within that Google now provides for free. Mm-hmm. Are very helpful in keeping me organized. So I would say that I'm blessed that I took a little bit of a liking to computers way back when, and I use them everywhere I go. I'm like, you always see me with the laptop or a tablet, and I mean, our phones nowadays can do almost everything that laptops can.
Yes, sir. So when you're hiring a new employee, what's the number one skill you like to see from them?
Well, let's see, I think the number one skill would be organization. As I said, I'm not that organized, and it just makes me so relieved when I see some of my colleagues. And I'll give you an example. Rona, our longest and arguably best staff member here at Tuff Nuff, is so organized. I remember when we had interviews for her position, there was a stack of resumes about that tall. And she came in and she had a list of notes on her phone, and she said, "How come your website is up? It hasn't been updated on this page." And we're like, "What?" She's asking us questions, like the complete other end of the spectrum in terms of organization from me. And so that was one. But I also would like to say I've had many jobs in my life, and one of them was a waiter at Chili's. And Chili's, you know, you have to, in order to get hired, you have to have a very good demeanor and be very upbeat and happy and welcome your guests within 1 minute of them. And so I always like to try to find upbeat and happy people to join the team, because that, goes a long way. Other people that we deal with, they would prefer to deal with someone happy than grumpy, right? That's just
yes, sir. Mm-hmm. Okay, so what do you think the most important skill that kids don't learn in school is?
Oh, gosh. Well, right now I think basic financial management would be, I feel...
Great answer.
Oh, thanks, because I mean, there's so much that goes into that, but coming out of school, they're oftentimes thinking, okay, wait, I can get these student loans, I can go to school, and they just move forward with what everyone's doing. Well, they're not taught exactly how to manage that. Mm-hmm. I mean, let alone their own personal finances beyond just school or a repayment of a school loan. It's especially in difficult economies like we were in for a long time. just basic personal financial management is a key.
Yes, sir. Are you a college graduate?
Well, I am. I did.
Okay.
I did go to University of Arizona in
Mhm.
Tucson. My brother went to Arizona State University.
Okay.
My brother didn't graduate. I did.
All right.
Okay. So look at what it goes to show you. I always worked for my brother.
Uh-huh.
He was always my boss.
Uh-huh.
And I like to say, Wade, I think that school is for some, but not for everybody.
Mm-hmm.
If it's look at it, everybody I believe has a different talent or skill or passion in life, and if yours is education and
Mm-hmm.
perhaps a career like an engineer who requires a tremendous amount of education, or a doctor or somebody like that, then I'm 100% supportive of people, going to get that education in school.
Mm-hmm.
However, I can tell you, like my brother, there's so many people that are skilled in other things that don't require traditional education
Mm-hmm.
in colleges and formal schooling. I mean, I'm a big believer in information should be free, and a lot of it is on the internet now.
Yeah.
So there's no excuse really to not learn something that you really want to, unless it's a very specialized thing like I mentioned. So I did graduate, like I said, but my brother didn't. And proof is in the pudding. I've always worked for my brother, and he was a very, very successful businessman.
Yes, sir. So you answered one of my questions, because I was going to ask, how do you feel about every kid going to college?
Oh.
And that's perfect. So you just answered that. So the next one, if somebody wanted to become an MMA promoter, what would you recommend, like, their steps be?
Oh gosh, that's a good question, because I think about it all the time. What would I do differently, or how could I be more successful? If I always say, okay, if you were a concert promoter,
Mm-hmm.
or nowadays I hear a lot of fighters are they're rave promoters. I guess that's like a type of underground concert thing, right?
Yeah.
So if you were a promoter of some type of big event like that, you would know exactly how to put the word out, how to put, we call it butts and seats.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. But I also think that, like, I always say I'm not a concert promoter, and I'm not a Wharton School of Business graduate. Okay. I believe that some very smart businessmen that have degrees in business from colleges have a little bit of an easier time managing the company than, for example, somebody like me that didn't take those classes. I was a political science major and Spanish minor in college.
Okay.
Complete opposite of what I'm doing now, right? I thought I'd maybe be a lawyer or get into politics or something. But, when I try to look at the books and learn these different things that perhaps a business educated person might already know, I think, well, that would be advantageous for someone in my line of work, that wanted to try promoting fighting events.
Yes, sir. Who is the most important contributor to your success, or who do you contribute to your success?
Well, thanks for asking. I think it's fairly obvious. You can see that picture of my brother, Barry Meyer, who started Tuff, Nuff.
Yes, sir.
And sadly passed on October 15th of 2013. He was the most righteous and honest and fair guy. Really, I feel that way. And we were martial artists growing up, karate kids.
Mm-hmm.
And you learn at a very young age in martial arts, the discipline and respect and honor. So he was always about doing the right thing and sticking up for the little guy. And I can't tell you how many times he would defend even sometimes people that he didn't know that were getting picked on or got into a fight, got jumped in fights. He wasn't a fighter, but oh my God, was he tough.
Mm-hmm.
And so, as I said, he was such an inspiration in doing the right thing. And it was always nice to see when things, maybe weren't going someone's way, and to have somebody like my brother come in and pat him on the back, or in certain cases, beat the crap out of someone who was beating them up. He was that guy, so totally my inspiration, and taught me, so much. And, I have to remember back to many years ago, you and I and Barry were at a seminar. Can't remember what hotel it was called, the Fight Summit. You remember that?
Yes, sir. I believe we were at the Rio.
Okay, yeah, I think that sounds right.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember there was a very famous guy up there talking, a promoter up in Canada, I think. And anyway, he took questions from the audience. And being that we were both in the audience, you asked a question. And you said, hey, well, what do you think about if in selling sponsors, the sponsor wants like a big group of tickets? And the promoter said, no, I don't do that, because you're going to take away your revenue from this area, from that area. And I thought, wow, that's silly advice, because as a promoter, we're lucky to get a dime anywhere we can. Okay, and so now looking back many years later, I thought, well, that was really poor advice. Okay, because we're struggling just to stay in business. Every event, we wonder, is this one going to stay, make any money or not? So as a small business, and being very conscious of our finances, we will work with any budget from any company willing to work with us.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, so do you remember that?
Yes, sir. I do remember that. You guys for some reason.
Nah.
But the promotion business is tough. If you guys didn't know, I tried my hand in it before, and man, it's tough. So that's why I said I really was looking forward to hearing from this guy and saluting him. They've been doing it a long time. And putting all that pressure on one night, is it's basically like you're fighting. You prepare, and then you show up that night and you're hoping there's a long line to get in the door. And if there's not, you're going, uh-oh. And if there is, it's a great relief. But then the event hits you, and it's just like a whirlwind. But
tremendous.
I'm sure it has its ups and downs. You've been doing it so long, but
Yeah,
it's really cool.
Thanks, Wade, and please also let me just say that you and Susie, with your promotion, helped Tuff Nuff so many times in so many ways. And, thank you very much for your support. I want to see the good people do good, and in our business, there's always, they say, some less than scrupulous people. I mean, that's another thing in school. I don't know, do they teach you to be honest and do the right thing? And just, that's something I think that's so important that the martial arts teaches. So I would encourage anyone that does watch, if they have children, to put them into karate or judo or jiu-jitsu or something. A traditional martial art does wonders outside of school. I think it can really be tremendous to a young person's growth.
Thank you. So that's all the questions I have for him. I hope you guys hear some great tips in there. He's definitely got some great business advice and some great life advice in there. And thank you guys for taking the time to watch. Thanks a lot, Jeff.
Thank you, sir.
Oh.